Carrie, and this is my channel, and my channel is Carrie's Priceless WW Journey. I am 47 years old, and I am a wife and a mother, and I have spent a lot of my life not for myself. And I met my husband when we were in high school. We met at our high school jobs working at Walmart, and that was the summer before our senior year in high school. We didn't go to the same high school, and we've been together ever since. We got married in 1991 and had our first daughter in 1993. And I was 20 years old, just a month shy of turning 21 when she was born. So I was very young, and we grew up together, and I thought life was perfect at that point. I had everything I wanted. I had a husband, had a home, I had the only child that I wanted at that point in my life. I really thought I wanted to raise an only child. And so life was going on great. And when our daughter Brittany was 3.5 years old, she had her first seizure. And we started down a path of trying to figure out what was going on. She actually had her first seizure at a lake. And at that time, there was a lot of like news about amoebas, different things like that in lake water. And so we had thought, oh, we've gotten her into something, you know, how are we going to fix this? And so we started down, excuse me, we started down a path of epilepsy treatment. And she was not improving. She wasn't responding to those medications, and she began digressing. She, up to that point, was a normal, happy, healthy 3.5-year-old, and she slowly started losing skills. And so along that path, I found out I was pregnant. Brittany had her first seizure the end of July. I found out I was pregnant the beginning of October of that year, and I was terrified. One, I didn't plan on having more children. And two, I was in the middle of this thing that was going on that I didn't know what it was. And so our second daughter, Hannah, was born the following June, and Brittany was 4, and she was beginning to lose her ability to walk. She was very unsteady on her feet. We were still having lots of seizures. We were seeing lots of specialists, and I was just at my wit's end. I didn't know, Lucy, sorry, didn't know where to go from there. And so, let's see, in that fall after Hannah was born, we went to Dallas and did a special treatment. That didn't help anything. And so move forward 2 years from that point. Brittany was 6 years old, and we had taken her back to the hospital to just come off of all of her medications and try to do some more testing and kind of see if we couldn't get some answers. During that time, that's 1999, the internet was, you know, in its still infant stages. Lucy, thank you. I know I love you. The internet was still in its infant stages and didn't have all the information and easy access. You kind of had to dig around. And while Brittany was in the hospital that time, I'd gone home one night, got on my computer, and was doing a search in a search engine, and I literally would just type in all of her symptoms, like seizures, regression, unable to walk, losing speech. Like, I just was typing in these big long lists of all these things, and I came across a sorry, I have hair in my mouth, dog hair probably. I came across an article for a, I don't know, probably some kind of medical journal, and in that article they were talking about this disease, and one of the things that stuck out to me was that one of the markers for this disease, how to show up, was a moon-shaped crescent indicator in a muscle tissue biopsy. Well, I knew that the summer before that we had done a muscle tissue biopsy, and the report had come back that there was a crescent moon shape, and it was unidentifiable as to what it was. And so I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is what Brittany has. I know it. Like, I just knew it in my gut. I wasn't gonna cry. So I went back to the hospital with this new information, and her neurologist, they had just done another MRI, and he was showing us the regression that she was facing in her brain, and the changes that had been made over the last few months in there. And I told him that I had read this article and that I was fairly certain that Brittany had neuronal ceroid lipofuscinosis, or Batten's disease for short. And he just looked at me and he said, we're testing for that. And so a few weeks later, I got a phone call from him, and he wanted me to come into his office, and he and I had had a very tumultuous relationship. As a mother, you are fighting for your child, and I was doing everything humanly possible to try to get answers, and I think he thought he was the only one who had answers, and so that was a struggle with him. But anyway, he called, wanted me to come into his office. He said he had some things to talk to me about, and I said, do you have the results? I want to know. I don't need to come and sit in your office for you to share that with me. And he said, yes, we do. Brittany does have neuronoceroid lipofuscinosis, and she had the Jansky-Bilchowski type, which there's just multiple types of the disease. And I said, okay, so what does that, what do you think? And he said, I think you probably have inside of a year left. Batten's disease does not have a cure. It is a rare genetic disease that my husband and I are both carriers of, and we had no idea until that moment. And so this neurologist offered to send her anywhere in the world, can get you into anywhere in the world. And I informed him that what I needed from him was to make sure that my child was as comfortable as possible for whatever time. we had left with her. I knew there was no treatment. We weren't going to poke and prod on her anymore. And we were just going to enjoy what time we had left. Sorry. Real life here, people. Put on my big girl pants, and we just moved forward as a family. At that time, Hannah was 2, and we just enjoyed every single moment that we had. And Brittany passed away in her sleep on the morning of August the 19th of 1999. At that point, you just do. There's no handbook on how to manage those situations. And so I remember just making decisions and just doing things and just taking care of things, and all of that. And so at that time I was a stay-at-home mom, and of course we had Hannah, and I can't even explain how thankful I am that I wasn't just the mom of one. And so, you know, we began to try to figure out how to pick up the pieces the best we could. I think at that point you're just kind of in shock, and you're just going through the motions. And so, you know, you just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so I stayed home until the following April, I believe. And I just really needed to get out of the house. And so I went back to work, and, you know, was doing as well as could be expected, just really focusing on Hannah and being the best mom I could for her. I've always put everyone else first, always. And so about 2 years into that, so probably about 2001, I hit rock bottom. The depression was something that can't even explain, really. I would drive to work and imagine just driving my car off of a bridge or just crashing it into a wall. When I hit rock bottom, I literally was sitting in my car in my parking lot at work, and I called my husband and I just told him I can't do this. I love you, Lulu. And so, so began my battle with depression. I saw many specialists. I was diagnosed along the way as bipolar, which now, looking back, I just kind of laugh, because I wasn't bipolar. I was just a grieving mom. And on tons of medication. Along the way, I would eat. I would eat because I was sad. I would eat because I was happy on occasion. And I don't mean just eat, like I would just eat like all night long. I could put away a box of Cheez-Its myself. I could, I would buy French onion dip because no one else in my family likes French onion dip, and I could just eat the whole tub. And so I never had a weight problem as a child. I was one of the lucky ones that, you know, I had bird legs and just never had any issues with weight. But I also never learned how to manage food, because when you have a good metabolism as a child, no one says you shouldn't have a second portion of that, or, you know, those things. So I just gained weight over the next 20 years, slow and steady. I had periods of time that I would do different diets and drop 20 pounds here or whatever, but it always came back, because that's what it does when you diet. And I've done some of the strange diets. You know, you can have 2 eggs and 5 saltine crackers for breakfast, and half a cup of tuna and an apple for lunch, and green beans and a protein for dinner. I mean, I've done it all. But I was never really doing it, I think, for the right reasons. But this past year, in January, I had a friend who, instead of doing resolutions, did a word of the year and kind of put out a challenge out there. Hey, think about it, and what would your word be? And I thought, well, that's interesting, because I've never been good at keeping resolutions. You know, it's just something you kind of make up on the 1st, and then they're gone by the 5th. But I thought, oh, a word, like maybe that's something I could really just get behind. And so I messaged her, thought about it, and then I messaged her and I said, my word for this year is going to be self. And not in a selfish way, but just in a focusing on myself for the first time probably in my adult life, for sure. And so that's what I did. I enjoyed going to an Herbalife shop here locally, and I would grab a shake for breakfast, but I never really did anything beyond that. And they were having a 21-day challenge. And so I thought, I am going to do this challenge and just see what happens. And so on January the 9th, 2019, I started this Herbalife challenge. And it was drink 2 shakes a day with sensible snacks and a healthy dinner. And I did that from January the 9th until January the 28th, and I lost, maybe it wasn't the 28th. Anyway, it doesn't really matter the dates, but I lost 5 pounds along that stretch. But towards the end of the challenge, I was like, okay, I can't do it. Like, I cannot eat. I can't drink another shake. Like, I need some food. And so I was with my cousin, and she said, you know, have you ever thought of Weight Watchers? And I was like, oh, I did Weight Watchers a long time ago, but it was such a pain in the behind. You had to write everything down. And, because when I did Weight Watchers many, many, many years ago, you carried around your little tracking book. And she was like, I am sure it's not like that anymore. You know, I'm sure it's changed a lot. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll look into it. So I went home and I got on the website, and they had some like 3-month digital only special, or maybe it was a 6-month special. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I signed up, digital only. And I thought, worst case, I give them my $20 for 6 months and I move on to the next thing, you know. And the weight just started coming off. I was shocked. I was just following the plan, wasn't doing anything special, wasn't giving up anything. I was still eating foods that I love, but the weight was just falling off, and people were starting to notice, and they're like, oh my gosh, Carrie, what are you doing? And so I shared what I was doing, and I only ever paid for 2 months as a digital member. I just kept referring my friends. They would say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I would text them my share a friend thing for Weight Watchers, and they would sign up, and I would get another free month. And as I was getting close to my goal weight, I thought, oh, and along that journey, when I started my Weight Watcher journey, I did very little besides watch YouTube videos. And of course, I found my great friends, Joan and Denise and Christy, and then later Kim at A Girl on Her Phone. And they just kept me motivated. And I became part of their Facebook group and became a moderator in their Facebook group. And I love the encouragement, and I love the community that they've created. And that's kind of how it kept me going. And as I was getting close to my goal weight, I thought, man, you've done all of this, you've accomplished all of this on your own, just doing online. You've got to go check out a meeting. You've got to take that next step. And I'm not one to like crowds or groups of people, or I'm pretty, I have a very, very small circle of people in my life. And could be protecting myself, I'm not sure. Anyway, but I just thought, you've got to do this. You've got to go check out a meeting. So I went and I did, like, you can just go visit a meeting if you're an online only subscriber to WW. And so I did that. I went and just said, hey, I just want to kind of sit in and check this out. The group was amazing. The ladies at my table were phenomenal. And I was just like, okay, I'm in. And so I switched my membership from online only to digital plus workshops. And I lost my last 5 pounds and reached goal weight in July of 2019. Did my 6 weeks of maintenance and earned my lifetime status on August the 28th. And it is one of those moments that I kind of just took a step back and I was like, oh my gosh, I did this. I did this for myself. I did this for me. I have a why. My why is that I want to be around for my family. My why is I have a granddaughter. We added a 3rd daughter to our home in 2010, and her name is Amber, and she has given us our first grandbaby, and she was born in August of 2018. So that's part of my why, is I want to be able to be the Gigi that can get on the floor and play and run in the backyard and chase them at the park and do all those things. I didn't want to be heavy, overweight, depressed, Gigi. I didn't want to be the Gigi on the couch. And so I've just feel like I found myself for the first time, and I've begun exercising. My daughter Hannah is married to a personal trainer, and Kobe just really inspired me to want to try to, I'd never been a person to exercise or be in the gym. I might go for walks, but that was more just walking the dog, not really trying to exercise. But I've started going to the gym with Hannah, and Kobe's been guiding us, and I've learned so much. I've done things I never would have thought I would do, and recently, Hannah was showing me some pictures of myself, older pictures and then more recent pictures, and she said, look, Mom, yeah, you're smiling in this other picture, but you're not really smiling, and now look at this picture, like you're really smiling, like you are really happy. And it just got me thinking that, yeah, I really am happy for the first time. I mean, like, I'm just happy with myself. I've always, you know, found a way to find the joy in life, and, you know, life is short and there are no guarantees, and Brittany taught me that. And so I've always embraced every moment with my family, with my children, but I've never really done that with myself. And so that is why. Okay, so I just figured out that the ending for my video was cut off. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I decided to just hop on here real quick and go ahead and record this so I could get everything edited and finished up, so I can get this channel started. The reason that I wanted to do this channel and felt kind of led to start this journey was multiple things. One, being a part of the WW Freestylin' Meal Planning Recipe, what is our name, green, blue, purple group on Facebook, has encouraged me to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone. I've always looked throughout this journey and the things that I've been through and losing Brittany. I've always thought that there must be a bigger plan for my life, and something else that I'm supposed to do with it, and some way for me to help other people who have suffered a loss. And so, you know, a lot of people who suffer a loss never recover. I don't think you ever do really get over it. I hate for when people say, you know, you got to just move on with life. Well, you try moving on with life without your child or your spouse or whatever the situation may be for you. It's not easy, and it's difficult. And so I really wanted to do this channel to challenge myself, to share my priceless journey with you all, and to maybe inspire someone who is struggling after a loss, and to let you know that you're not alone, and that many of us who deal with these situations face tremendous depression and difficulty just getting up in the morning and putting on your pants and going about life. And I know that Brittany is smiling down at me today, and I know that she's proud of the woman that I've become, and I am the woman that I am today because of her. She has made me the person that I am, and I just want to share that. I hope that I can motivate you. I hope that I can encourage you. I plan on doing weekly weigh-ins, my Wednesday WW meeting, just a quick little weekly weigh-in video to keep myself accountable to you all. And also probably some day in the life, what I eat in a day, maybe a little cooking. I'm not the most creative cook. I'm pretty basic when it comes to cooking. I do mini meal preps on Sundays. I've been doing those throughout my whole journey, so I'll share those with you along the way. And just other moments, I want to have a weekly update on just life and sharing more of my journey and more of the things that I've been through, and kind of get into some of the details of that journey during the time that Brittany was sick, because I think it's important for other people to know that when you're struggling with something, whatever it is, whether it's a health issue or a problem with your child or, your spouse. Those times can be very overwhelming to a person, and I just want you all to know that you're not alone. And so I'm super duper excited to get started on this journey with you all. I hope that you will like this video, subscribe to my channel, stick around. There's lots more to come.